This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview.
Joining us today is Tim Blake, the CEO of HFI, that's Hydrogen Future Industries, listed on the Aquis Exchange with the ticker HFI. Thank you very much for joining us today for the first time, Tim. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Mark.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to learning a bit about the company. So I wonder if you can perhaps start us off by giving us the high-level overview or the elevator pitch, if you like.
Okay, so Hydrogen Future Industries was put together really to invest in hydrogen technologies. I guess it's all in the name.
Mm-hmm.
We now own our own IP in hydrogen generation from wind. It's a complete system that we've been developing over time. We've bought in all the IP from the technology I previously developed. We've been working fairly closely, I guess, in the likes of the mining industry to produce cheap energy. I mean, it happens to be hydrogen, but cheap, clean energy that can be utilized almost anywhere, obviously with mining and related type industries, agriculture, etc. Usually you could be in the middle of nowhere. So it's not grid dependent. It can be utilized off grid, on grid, right across the board. Okay.
So it's creating hydrogen for use in cheap and clean energy. I wonder if you can just explain a little bit about the market for hydrogen as a cheap and clean energy source. I know there was a lot of talk about the hydrogen fuel cell, for example, to power vehicles. Well, it's not here yet. It's perhaps still on the way. But what's the market size? Who is using hydrogen, and really how is it working?
Well, I suppose the future or the market for hydrogen is pretty much in the future. So there's targets obviously set out as part of the net zero targets globally. So
sure,
that's really to produce green hydrogen, which is via electrolysis, which is what we're doing.
Okay.
So they look at hydrogen probably supplying up to 22% of all energy needs by 2050. The benefits of hydrogen is it's obviously abundant. It's very calorific. It's got a lot of energy in it, but you can use it for electricity and you can use it for gas. So you can use it on a variety of fronts, and also you can use it in industry for ammonia and other products.
Okay, so it's really a sort of a bet on the future, really, that the future is hydrogen. Just thinking of the end use here, how does we'll go into how we get hydrogen in a moment, but how does it then go into power? Does the local mine need a little mini station, or what's the distribution? How is it actually turned into usable electricity?
Well, depending where you're using it, once you have the gas, once you've got it stored, you can use it either through a fuel cell, which converts the hydrogen into electricity and gives you water, or you can put it through a combustion engine.
Okay.
Similar scenario happens, or you can use it as gas. So the UK, for instance, has a target to use maybe 20% dilution of the natural gas pipeline with hydrogen. By putting the hydrogen into that gas pipeline, quite simply, whatever percentage of hydrogen you put into the gas, you reduce your carbon output by the same amount. So to reduce emissions, it's very good. For electricity, it can be used in a number of ways. Through a fuel cell, it can be put into the grid. It can be used for a car. It can be used in transportation in general, for trucks, ships, planes. It's flexible. It's just getting it to those points.
Okay. And from your company's point of view, then, really what you're all about is producing hydrogen in a clean and energy in a cheap way?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been working on this for quite a few years now. It's not something that we decided to do because it became trendy.
Sure.
So with what we're doing, we're pretty confident that we'll be producing green hydrogen, so hydrogen from renewable energy, zero carbon attachments to it, for less than $2 a kilo. What that equates to, because I'm sure most people won't have a clue, $2 a kilo, by the time you've converted, it's probably about 7 cents a kilowatt. So maybe 5p a kilowatt hour. So it's cheap. It's completely sustainable. The amount of water we use to generate the hydrogen, we get back as soon as we use it. So it's a circular type supply.
Right. Okay. So you're looking really to produce hydrogen that would then, is that at a cost of 5p per kilowatt hour, or it will be sold for a 5p per kilowatt hour?
You're producing it at that level. You actually produce it at about 3 cents, 3p actually.
Right.
By the time it goes through a fuel cell, the fuel cell's about 50% efficient. So you double it to the 5.
Okay.
So you produce it for less.
Okay. So how are you actually doing this then? You talk about the technology there, and you have IP. You talked about generation from wind. So tell me a bit about how you are generating this hydrogen, how much, and what the plans are to scale up, how things are going on that front.
Right. So we created the technology all the way through. We created a system that starts with a wind turbine. The wind turbine is all new. It's what we call a ducted turbine, so it's not like the big propellers you see now. We don't need to be anywhere near the same size. We produce over 300% more energy for the same overall size as a current wind turbine. So we're producing 3 times the energy, basically. It's a lot cheaper. It works in greater wind speeds, works in lower wind speeds. That is connected. We have a drive system where we use hydraulics. So it's connected to a cluster rather than each individual turbine having its own generator as they do today. So it makes the system easier to maintain, makes it cheaper to produce. We then connect that to an electrolyzer we've been developing. So the electrolyzer turns the water into hydrogen. It's basically a hydrogen generator, I guess. And we do that directly in DC power. Current systems will usually use energy supplied from the grid. So that's coming in AC power, and then it has to be converted across through a rectifier. The rectifiers are expensive and they consume energy. So we've managed to avoid these steps. So we have a wind turbine that's a lot more efficient. We have an electrolyzer that we've been working on for some time now that's 97% efficient. That's got to be scaled up. So again, that's world leading, class leading efficiency. So the whole system, when it comes together, produces hydrogen very cheaply in comparison to cost today. I mean, today, renewable energy, green hydrogen, so hydrogen produced from renewable energy is around about $6 a kilo. So being below 2 is a significant step.
And you can get there because of your own IP, your own intellectual property that you've developed over many years.
Exactly. Yeah, it's taken some time in doing, but it's a system that's designed to produce hydrogen. The first patents went through, I don't know, 2013, 2014. So it's something we've been working on for some time.
Well, we can definitely do a more deeper dive into that technology in another feature, but I want to just get an idea of how advanced the products are, both the turbine and the electrolyzer. Are they still in sort of final stage development? Are you looking to deploy them at some point?
Yeah, so they're up and working. Things work. So we've got to scale up. We've been looking at ways of doing that. We've been talking about licensing by country. So there's a few people interested in that. Also by technology, moving into those markets. So I would say, the plan certainly right now is to go to raise the next step, which takes us through probably the next 6 to 12 months to commercially scaled units, and into the market from there.
Okay, so looking over the next 6 months to get into commercial scale effectively, and then, getting out and making the offer, making the proposition and selling the offer effectively, and hopefully getting a full system in place. I mean, is that the ultimate goal?
Exactly. Yeah. We've got some collaborations that we're shortly due to announce.
Okay.
That I think will show the seriousness of the market and the people behind it.
Okay. And if you were to try and give a flavour of perhaps the investment case here for the company, what's the plan really to build shareholder value? Is it through sales? And what's the business model, I suppose, is the question. Are you looking to own these projects, sell them off, sell equipment? What's the business case?
The main case will be under licensing, whether that be for manufacturing or whether it be for the technology itself into different countries or even into the different technologies. I mean, it can be split down. The benefit of what we have is we do have a system, but the system works on the individuals as well. So we have a wind turbine that works in any way that a normal wind turbine would, just far more efficiently. And the same with the electrolyzer. You can combine the two and it becomes better still. So we have a number of angles, I guess, into different markets.
Okay, but the priority there will be licensing, the manufacturing, or indeed the technology, rather than sort of operating massive wind farms, for example.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, and just a final thought then, just to perhaps leave us with, what are your goals for the company? I mean, we can talk about the next 6 months as a short term, and you've said there it's really about scaling up to get to commercial scale that you can then go and sort of hit the sales phone, so to speak. So that could be, what you're looking at in the next 6 months. But then, what's the overall goal here? What are you looking to build? What is going to entice investors to think, okay, this is a good longer term investment proposition for me?
I think possibly the markets we're moving into with the costs we're at. So once we go to the larger scale, the size of the markets that we can hit are significant. I mean, the mining alone accounts for 10% of all energy utilized on the planet or consumed on the planet. The system works well with mining, but it's not just mining, it's anything in reality, providing we've got some kind of wind or even solar, we can connect that into. So it's cheap, clean energy. And towards the net zero targets, it's an absolute no-brainer in many ways, because it is so much cheaper than what's there.
Well, thank you very much for introducing the company to us today, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon, hopefully getting some more detail on some of the technology there, how it works, how it can be deployed, and indeed how things are going with the commercial scale-up. But for now, thank you very much for your time, Tim Blake, CEO of Hydrogen Future Industries.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks a lot.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.